All right, hello and welcome. My name is Jason Welsh, and today we're going to be looking at college. So I come from a background, a high school instructor in the field of career and technical education, and I also teach college at a regional level, and I've taught college at a national level. So I've seen a great deal of students over the course of 20 years fall into certain traps. I'm going to take and compile some of those traps all into one video so that you are very informed as a student in the year 2020 when you pick out a college, and also give you some tips and tricks on navigating the waters of college uh, because it is a very deep ocean and you could get lost very quickly. All right, so first let's go and start weaning down the selection. Okay, so I'll give you some key searches. You can do a Google search on national versus regional accreditation. Okay, that's a very easy Google search, and there's many documents. This is not shared at a high school level, but I would say that now, if you're looking for a college, national versus regionally accredited is a great little document that you need to read. I'll kind of break it down real shortly for you. So colleges, you can form a college in a couple different ways. Um, let's say a corporation goes out there and they find out that education is very profitable. Okay, it's a very, very lucrative operation. People want to know things. So what they can do is they can start gathering teachers. They can gather um, a pool of knowledge in an area, and they can form a college around that. Okay, it just takes some money. Um, not it's it is pretty rough, but not too bad. I would say national accreditation is pretty easy to get when it comes down to forming a school. The school then spends a lot of money on uh, pamphlets, flyers, radio, TV, whatever ads. They burn a lot of cash in getting their name out into the public. Then they get some examples of work that don't really even exist yet because they don't have the school or the students to put behind the work. So what a young student will do is they will accept any college that accepts them. Okay, they really don't, especially young students. They're just like they're out there. They want to be accepted. So what happens is usually colleges will give you this pamphlet, and students are like, "Oh my God, I got accepted into college." Well, so did everybody. Anybody and everybody that got that pamphlet, if you were willing to spend a couple bucks, way more than the national version or regional version, you will find that you will be able to sign up for that college no matter what. Art schools are notorious for this. Okay, art schools, niche markets. Um, so anything that is easy to sell, game design, game programming, animation school of design, radio broadcast and video, like any of these schools, they're really big on being able to sell themselves, but it's a national accreditation. Okay, so now regional. Regional is university. You have to have a board of education behind it. You have to have you. There are some strict guidelines that you must meet in order to become a regionally accredited school. When you go to a national school, they do not transfer into regional. Very rarely does this happen. But a regional could transfer into a national. They probably won't, because the national, what they profit from is the fact that they want you to take those courses at that college. If you are transferring credits in, they are not making money from that. Okay? So let's synapse this. National, it's easy for a college to get this. The credits do not transfer. Regional, it's hard for a college to get this. The credits will transfer to other regionals. It might not transfer to the national, but it's the higher version or the more strict guidelines are at a regional level. So that school is more, since the accreditation is there, sometimes you'll get even a better job because they'll look at your regional accreditation. Especially if you're going for a teaching degree or anything in education or science, anything science. So that's one thing we need to look at as we progress through this video. Alright, so colleges are a business. They make money from people going to their school. They do not make money when people don't go to their school. So in the year 2020, you will find a lot more schools accept students. Doesn't really matter upon, ATC or your scoring or anything like that. You'll find more and more colleges are opening their doors to any person willing to go. All right, sweet. So let's look at this. And there's 100 websites that do this very same thing. I do like this one, collegetuitioncompare.com. Collegetuitioncompare.com. Okay, you can go to any state. That's what I like about this website. And you can type in your, say, Michigan, and then you can go through, and I'm going to talk about some of these things. Okay? Let's talk about cost per credit and tuitions and fees. Okay? So a lot of times, and you'll see this across the board, many colleges have way different ideas upon their cost per credit. Huge discrepancy. So you'll get a credit, maybe a regional, which is the better, in my humble opinion, to go to, a regionally accredited school. That might be $284 a credit hour. And then you'll get another one that's only $95 per credit hour. Okay. Of course, they are in different areas in your state, but you should probably locate the area that you're going to go in and then kind of do a cost comparison nowadays. Because it's not as important in year 2020. Let's say it was very important about going to a university like Michigan State University, and then when you graduate from that school, then you could get a job very easy. Okay, it's kind of lax, but I'm going to show you what factors allow that to be a little lax. Because if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, certainly it does apply that you must go to probably a very heavy regionally accredited school that has a good name behind it. Cool. So we're going to look at this, the cost per credit, and how it differs. Not the dollar amount, but how much it differs across an entire state. Notice 192, 417, without even looking at names over here, 267. These are huge factors when it comes down to it. Now, you'll also find that because the cost per credit might be lower, over here the fees might be higher. Alright, so now I'm going to share with you an example on how to calculate how much one class costs. Okay? One class cost. So we're going to do a random search on the internet to get it out of my area so that I don't show any kind of bias towards my area. Wouldn't want to drive down sales of any local colleges. Ohio Community College. So there's probably a few different community colleges. Sure, there's Columbus, there's Clark Lake. I'll just pick this one. Okay, what I want to do is go to their website. Here we go. Cool. So now I'm going to look for their course catalog because I'm interested in being a student and taking a certain degree. All right. So that catalog is on every major or any kind of university. I want the current catalog. One tip I would say is once you pick out something from this catalog and you do sign up for the school, make sure that you know that this is the catalog that you have agreed upon at that school, so that if they change the catalog, it will not add to your amount of classes. Pro tip. Keep that catalog, put it aside, put a big gold bow around it, and then always drag it with you when you talk to a counselor. All right, I'm going to go into programs. I'm going to go into maybe computer programming. Okay, nothing for programming. How about just computer? Okay, there we go. Computer science. Computer science software development. Random degree at a random college. All right, sweet. Okay, for my first semester, I need to take these courses according to this. So when I go to sign up, here's a 3-credit class. All right, let's correlate it back to how much does it cost per credit? Okay, cool. So I want to kind of keep this one and open up a new tab and paste it over and do a search on your website for cost per credit. Sweet. So look at, they broke it down. The approximated cost of the entire year for a full-time student. Good. So right now, 157 per credit hour. So I'm interested in taking the one class, this one. It's 157, so we're going to round that up to 158. So $474 to take that class at this college. To roughly calculate how much the fee is for the class, you have to first appropriate cost of the entire year based on a full-time student. So a college might be broken up into fall, winter, summer, spring, somewhere like that. You know, they might be broken up into 4. Some colleges are broken up into 3. So it all depends what that college has as far as a breakup is concerned. Okay? Usually on average it's a 3 that I see nowadays. Now, a full-time student, what's that? Well, sometimes that's a 16 credit hour load. It might be an 8 credit load. In most cases, it's probably a 16 credit load. So, what we do is take this number, 4,738, okay? And then you divide that by 16. And then divide that by 3. Okay. So that class fee might be $98. Now, every course is different. There might be different materials, there might be different things that is required by that student to have. So this could range from everywhere from like maybe 100 to 250 for that class. So I would always calculate this on the high side and just say 200 bucks right off the bat. It's an easy way to look at it. So again, let's do that little calculation. So let's say $200, 157 times 3 equals 140 plus 200. Now it's going to be about $671 to take that course at a community college level. All right, now let's look at this on a thing called program of study. Program of study basically makes it so that a student starts out at a community college level and then they transfer into a major university. And they can transfer as many credits as they want in, and it generally saves them hundreds and thousands of dollars. Okay? Program of study. When you do sign up for a college, go to the local counselor and say, I want a program of study for nursing, for computer programming. They will generally know what that means. So you're already seen at Columbus University at a community level. Let's utilize this tool now so we don't have to dig through every college's website, because that's a grind. Let's go all. It's Ohio, so let's go down to the O's. Ooh, Ohio has a lot of schools. Okay, sweet. So Ohio State University. Again, this is the fee for this one, $157. Or keep $157 in your head. Or we have $420. Roughly, two times the amount, maybe 3 times the amount. The fee is rather high. Now, if I took this class at this level, at a community level, I could then transfer it into this level and save myself that much money and still maintain the higher regional accreditation that Ohio State University provides. You can see how this transfer method allows you to keep the idea of going to a major university, but also saving yourself thousands of dollars in the long run for transferring in. But you must go to the local community college, like Columbus State. You would walk in the door, you would say, I want to talk to a counselor. I'm interested in being blank. What is can I see a program of study that allows me to go to Ohio State University? Using that language, you just now opened up the door to saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. Alright, so you can see that this video is rather long already, and it's only been a couple topics here, so let's kind of recap. Right now you know what national and regional accreditation are, and you can do some research on that. The other one that I shared with you, the example of the transfer method, or we'll call that program of study. And maybe we'll say transfer method. So what I would do is now, instead of digesting a lot more of this video right off the bat, first take what you've learned and go find out if the school that you are interested in is national versus a regional. Next, find a degree that you are interested in, and maybe how much per credit hour that is at a community college versus a university. So now I'm going to share with you a way to kind of look at the importance of college a little bit in the next part. All right, let's look at skill. Okay, we looked at degree, but let's look at skill. I'm going to give you 3 examples here. I got a doctor, a computer programmer, and an animation artist. So based upon the collective understanding of a doctor, they have to have something in order to become a doctor, in order to practice being a doctor. Okay? So you don't get good at being a doctor unless you have a piece of paper that allows you to repeat being a doctor over and over again. There are some soft skills that you can, being nice to people and all those good things, but really when it comes down to like operating on people or fixing people, you need that degree behind you in order to practice being a doctor over and again. Cool. So computer programmer. I need a computer and I need YouTube, and I could actually go in today, right now, and learn a language in computer programming. Over and over again, I could practice that. All I needed was the computer, and I can keep practicing it over and over again and find out if I like being a computer programmer, if I'm interested in that. I can also look up videos on what these people do on a daily basis. There are some passionate individuals that share videos about what they do, how they do it on a daily basis on YouTube, and that passion is what you should be looking at. You can also get started now and not worry about the time. I signed up for a college. I'm going to be abducted my first semester, and that's 3 months from now. No, you should probably just get started right away. Find out if you like it. First, can you be taught by a person on YouTube who does have more passion sometimes than the actual teacher that's in that classroom? If you can learn from a person on YouTube, then you are on a good path. Okay? Animation artist, same thing. Instead of signing up for a college, I'm going to probably go to YouTube, learn out what animation artists do, and learn out what software they use. I got a computer. Can I get started right now? That's the mindset you need to take in year 2020, not jumping in the same sign up for the school and then find out if you like it or not. Find out if you like it and then jump into the school. So I'm going to give you a website that will kind of back up what I'm talking about as far as, is college necessary right off the bat? Okay? Maybe a little self-learning might be available first before you jump into paying $34,000 for a degree, only to find out that you didn't like what you were doing. Okay? So I'll show you a website. All right, let's look at a website called ONET. ONET is a great website. Super passionate individuals got together and they built a website based upon occupation. Okay? It's across the United States, and one can easily go here to search out something that they are interested in becoming later on down the road. I'll use computer programmer, for example, because as a new student, you don't know what to learn. You know what I mean? Like, what do you even aim for? What to look up on YouTube? So, computer programmer. Okay, they give you some technology skills that must be available, like if I'm going into database, environmental type software, web platform, and they give you some languages that are interesting to learn. These are all readily available on YouTube to learn these languages. You should probably look at those just a little bit before you dive into signing up for a school. Down below, I have the ability to look up what education background is actually needed. And I'll give you a way to look at this. So 88% of the total population in the United States who are in this field of study have a bachelor's degree. But 3% do not. Now 3% of an actual, population of the United States is pretty huge. Really huge. Okay? Don't count this 3% as being a minor number whatsoever. So you could practice right away. You might not get the job, but at least you get a background in it and show some examples. At an associate's level, 9%. Now, another thing you could do is once you have your associate's degree and you have examples, you can now get into a job because you have examples. And then in most cases, your employer will pay for your bachelor's degree. That's a big trend nowadays. Good times, because some cases they don't want to provide insurance, so sometimes they provide tuition reimbursement or something like that. So always be learning, no matter if you're in a school or not, because it pays off in the very end. Don't look this far out just yet. Stick here and then work your way up. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, down below we have the salary and wages for Ohio, because I've been using that as an example. And on average, the person in this field makes an average, meaning that if you draw a line in the sand right between these 2 points on a bell curve, you'll probably get about 50,000 to 90,000 in that area. Cool. So you could actually figure out, if you sat down with some math, to figure out if I spend a degree at $34,000 and maybe I have a student loan debt of $200 a month, I can now see how much I'm going to be making a month. You can sit down with your parents for that math, I would say. Ask your parent, is this a lot of money? They are good elders that way, as far as finances are concerned. All right, so this website is invaluable to young individuals looking into getting into a certain occupation. Now I know what to look up videos on. Now I know what skills I need and how much money I could possibly be making later on down the road. Alright, to end this video, I'd like to just share lastly a few things that I always see students fall into. They'll go for a degree and then they'll find out that that's not what they wanted to do. And then they will switch paths. Okay? And I've seen students switch paths like 6 times. And they never really get a degree, and what happens is they'll end up paying a bunch of money to a college, and the college doesn't care. They'll just keep switching you. But you'll have multiple degrees that didn't get finished. So maybe if you are undecided about college, at worst case scenario, if you're being pushed by so many people to go to college, at least maybe a general education degree. Because at least then you are given the space and the time to decide what you want to get into. And that degree will go into other degrees. So a general education degree is a very universal degree that will get other people off your back long enough to decide what field you want to get into yourself. You, not other people. Financing. So in today's age, usually the poorer you are, the better chance you have to get through college. Okay, if you can show that your parents aren't making a lot of money or you're not making a lot of money, these students actually go through college quite easily. I was one of these actually students a long time ago, but again, I keep with the relevancy of watching my students go to college and use that as the example. They generally, if you do not have money, what you'll do is you'll apply for financing, apply for student aid, and get that student aid. When you start getting into a pinch is when you start getting into the easy money of loans. Okay, you'll be offered money, and then you'll be offered more money and more money and more money, and sometimes you'll end up using, you could use that money in any way possible, any shape, form. Sometimes they'll end up giving you extra money. When this happens, in my humble opinion, do not take that money. Do not. Take the aid, take lesser classes, okay? Give yourself some space. Later on down the road, you'll thank me. It won't be today. It won't be in 20 years. It might be in 30 years. But when you go to take that money, later on you'll end up in kind of a pinch where you'll have to pay back it. And nowadays, loans get sold out to big corporations. So it's never federal dollars that you end up getting paid back half the time. Sometimes your student loan gets sold out to a large corporation, and then that large corporation is what you're owing money to. Sure, the federal government will set guidelines for them to collect that debt, but again, that money is not worth it. So don't use it in any way, shape, or form other than the education. If you do have to take it, put it away in a bank. If you're taking extra, do not spend $1 of it on other things other than education. And be careful even taking it. It would be better to take less classes than take that money. So some schools will require that you live on campus. Okay? I'll go back to the example that I gave you of transfer. Okay? So a school usually will have you live on campus for your freshman year at a university. It's a requirement sometimes. Okay, so if you transfer in, however, you do not have to do that. Okay? So you can bypass that whole era of debt just by transferring into a school as maybe a junior. It all depends what class or what school, but I think it's mainly your freshman year. Some schools require you to live on campus. If you take your classes at a community level and then transfer those in, you can bypass that huge amount of debt, and it is absolutely huge. The amount of money that you save. Just check out how much it costs to live on campus compared to living at home. Just that's a big pro tip. Common misconception. Aid will keep aiding me. Okay? No, aid will eventually cease to exist at a certain point, a certain dollar point. You can never not get aid. And at a certain dollar point, you can't get loans either. So where you use your money, where you spend it, will allow you to go to school longer if you are trying to get higher degrees. So in some cases, you might run out of money in your bachelor's degree because you took so many student loans out, and then you use that money in nefarious ways. So don't do that, because then later on you will not be able to go into your harder degrees, your bachelor's or your master's degree, and still have that aid behind you. So it does run out, especially loans. There's a cap on it, and every state's different, so I won't share the cap that I have in my area. But if you are taking any kind of loan debt, or if you are getting financial aid, just know that financial aid does have a cap on it. They don't tell you, and it's different state to state. Make sure you do some research on what the cap is in your area, and that way you can use that money to go and get larger, or the end run degree, which is maybe your bachelor's degree that you're aiming for. Well, I would want to have aid all the way up until the bachelor's degree, and that might be 120 credits in. How can I stretch those dollars? The best way is to take less classes over a longer period of time to stretch those dollars out if you have to, or pay a little out of pocket, just by maybe even paying for one class per semester out of pocket versus taking a student loan out. GPA. So if you have a GPA, I get a lot of students that are like, I'm too stupid to go to college or whatever. It's because, they get a low GPA in high school. They don't think they can go to college. Maybe they're not ready for that at that point, but here's a misconception that happens a lot, and I'll myth bust this one out. So let's say I have a low GPA in high school. Okay, I then attend a college that will accept me. I get an A in that class because it's being taught at a different type of level. I did not do well in high school. I did not. I did well in college. This might apply to you too. So if you do well in college on that one class, your GPA is now the GPA of that school that you attended. At a college, or community college is where I started. And now you have a new GPA. The D or F that you had in high school does not even closely relate to anything of your GPA in college. So just know that you get a reset. You get kind of a reset button when you attend college. You can only use this reset once. So be very wary of, like that. When you do go, be totally passionate, all in. That way, when you do use this get out of jail free card, you can use it in the wisest manner. Let's say you're not being accepted to a major university because of your high school GPA. Go through the back door. The back door is go community level, get your GPA up to a college level, and then you can open up the door to the major university. Okay, there's another tip. Parents are going to love this one. Stay at home. Okay, so this is not the era to maybe jump into a college that isn't within drivable distance of a close home base. It's not. This is a different jungle we're dealing with now. It's a different era. Students that go off to college, they should probably look what's locally available first rather than attend a major university and jump into that. Get your feet wet. Understand that there is a language, there is a procedure for every paperwork that you do. It's a different day of age. Wherever your parents went to as far as a college is concerned, that looks totally different now. You can't rely on the past when dealing with colleges. You need to know how to do the paperwork at all colleges, and all colleges are different, but start out a very simple college that doesn't cost a lot. That way you can get the understanding on how that paperwork works. So let's say, for example, I apply for financing, okay? I apply for financing on a website. Then I go and take that class, and half the time the financing doesn't click in. That happens so often. So you're now stuck in a class, and you're going to end up paying out of pocket because your financing did not go through. You need to go through that a few times to understand that there's like a deadline for things. There's a timeline, and until you understand what that timeline looks like, you are not ready for a university. There's no doubt about it. You'll save a huge amount of money just by struggling at a lower community college level, just so you can get your feet wet to understand what financing is and how to apply and when to apply for it. And most likely, like at that level too, they totally understand that you might not have had the opportunity to get to that financing level, and they'll drop you out of the classes. But I've seen many universities that they don't care. They absolutely don't care at all. And even if you take a class and you're in it for 3 days, you are now responsible for taking that entire course and paying for it. There is a dropout procedure for classes, and if you miss that dropout window, you will end up paying out of pocket for that. So be very careful about it. Do not buy books until you are in the class and you have asked the instructor, are we going to use that book? It is a requirement of all instructors at every college to list a book on their syllabus. It's kind of a master thing where they'll be asked to list a book in order to use for that class. And they might not use that book in the class. So make sure you don't buy the book until you're in the class and you have asked it 100%, is the book necessary? Am I going to be using it? Textbooks generally cost you about $200 for a book. And so another thing is you can rent books now. I would say renting a book is probably the smartest decision you can ever make right now. I have this available at the time I went, but renting a book over buying a book is huge. So those are a couple other tips for you. Course catalog. Okay, so when you sign up, I put this in here before, but I want to readdress it because I think it's pretty important. When you sign up for a degree, especially in the technology fields, what will happen is that degree over time will change. You'll get a new catalog every year, and that catalog might have more classes added to that degree. Or you now took a class and it's not in the current catalog, therefore you are short the credits. When you sign up for a school, when you start that catalog, you must keep that catalog in mind, that that's the catalog you're going to use. Use the same catalog. Drag it to every counselor meeting that you go to, every person that is helping you sign up for classes. And if you are in doubt at all, talk to a dean. Okay? Make sure that if it comes down to having to pay more money at any point because the catalog got changed, you are talking to the dean of that department. Because it is the agreement that you signed up for when you walked in that door to start with that catalog and end with that catalog. That's what you signed up for. Okay? So don't let them switch out classes, and do not let them add classes to your degree without really raising a stink about that. even if especially if you take a course, and sometimes there's classes that are not offered all the time. Maybe it's offered every other year, and you're just about close to graduation. Okay, that's another tip altogether. Don't let them talk you into a different class. Ask them for an independent study. Independent study means they have to provide the class for graduation, no matter how many people are in it or assigned to it. They have to host a class for you to graduate. Don't accept a different class and of a lesser value or a greater value. Ask for an independent class. All right, the last tip. As of May of 2020, you are going to find out that there's going to be a lot of colleges that ask for students to be non-face-to-face students and more computer-driven. So you're going to have a majority of your content being offered on a computer. If you've never taken an online course before, do not try to take this at a higher level just yet, because you have to learn the motivation behind online education. There might be something like this going on where, let's say, a college is now offering all their classes online. There's going to be a learning curve there, especially for all the teachers that have never taught online, to now release all that content in an online format. So until that trend kind of like settles down, just kind of be careful with taking an online course. If you've never taken an online course before, and the beauty of the high school student right now is a lot of the high school students have online training, really. At least I provide it for my students, and I see it a lot where they are already in an online E2020 course or something like that, but they know the struggles of the motivation factor behind taking an online course, and how, at some point you're going to be like trying to learn but getting distracted very easily, because you can take it at any time. You can take that, you can do it once a week or skip a week. It's really different, and unless you are used to it, just be careful taking a high-level course online right off the bat if you have no training, especially right now. So if you're new to a topic, let's say new to the topic of Algebra 4, you should probably wait on that and take something that you are accustomed to, that you're good at, for those first few classes in any college based upon today's date, just to get your feet wet for the online education point. Because being able to hand in your work, being able to share content online, be able to communication with people online, that is a whole lesson in itself. Outside the already class that you are taking, maybe Algebra 4, and that will be a kind of a struggle bus thing. So maybe keep it down to something that you are already comfortable in for the first few classes. If they go to sign you up for some classes, say, well, I feel like I'm comfortable in these classes, I would like these classes instead. You can do that. Alright, so we're going to end the video here. Hopefully this has helped you out in your decisions about college, or a different way to look at it. But now you have a few options on your table, and it is a pleasure as always. Thank you for listening, and have a good one.